Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast. We are back with another match preview. As you may have noticed, there's 5 of us this week. We're joined by Roger, Kris, Daryl and Iain. We're looking a bit like the Brady Bunch, but we'll get through it best we can. How is everybody and how did everybody have a nice Christmas?
Are you going to aim this to one person this time around?
I have to, aren't I? Yeah. So, Kris, well, it seems you piped up first. We'll talk to you first, mate. How was your Christmas?
It was good, mate. Really good. More enjoyable, obviously, with that win at Newcastle got at the weekend there. Well, I'm saying weekend. Was the weekend? Was it Sunday? Was it Monday? Was it Tuesday? What day is it? Today? Does anybody know?
Who knows?
But yeah, mate, doing really well. Good to get back into the swing of things.
Good. We'll come to you next, Iain. You're still there sitting next to your tree. You haven't taken it down yet. Ours is nearly down.
Nearly down?
When did you take your tree down?
Put it this way: if Stacey wasn't ill, it would have been down on Christmas night.
Oh, can you explain how it's nearly down?
It was, like I say, it was nearly down. The lights are off. We just need to take the ball pulls and that down.
Wow.
We've got to wait for the government
Scrooge.
to tell where we can put what tree outside, so they'll take it away. And we don't know what date it is. They do a special tree collection thing. Anyway, Iain, we'll come to you. How was your Christmas, mate?
Yeah, really good. Busy, but again, in good spirits. Made all the better by Eddie Howe's match.
Of course it was. Roger, good to see you. How is everything going in your land at the moment?
Hectic, crazy. Christmas was mint, but yeah, we're in the middle of packing the house up, which is going okay. So, but no, it's been really good, and like the lads have said, just getting back into the groove of Newcastle was just absolutely amazing watching that performance against Leicester. So, no, really good, thank you. Really good.
Good. And Daryl, you were at the Leicester game. Have you recovered after? I believe you met Bruno's dad. I don't think you've mentioned it yet. How was he? How was he?
Did you?
I did. No, he was fine. He was fantastic. Actually, really enjoying it. Really living up to the atmosphere, and just really a great guy all around. Just happy to have pictures with everybody. I actually turned around after the initial furore died down. I just asked him, "Did you have a nice Christmas?" And that, and he was like, "Yeah, that's great stuff. Great to hear." And he had the whole lot with him. The fiance was there. There's footage around on social media showing that she was there, and a few of the other close family members were there as well. It was lovely to see them there. It's not the first time I've seen his fiance at a game. I saw them at West Ham last season, and they were lovely. And in terms of me Christmas, it was different to usual because my mother was at work, so it was just me on Christmas Day with the dog. So spent the day with him basically, and had a quiet one. And we did everything on Christmas Eve instead. So it was a bit weird having to shuffle everything around, and then obviously we had the Boxing Day game, and it was just amazing, fantastic.
Daryl, you actually made the video from the fiance. So the fiance, so Bruno's fiance put on, and you're doing the weirdest celebration I've ever seen in my life. Your arms are like this, and just bouncing like this around.
Yeah. Is he like a winner on The Price Is Right? And they don't know what to do.
Just
like
bouncing.
What a bella.
Well, the Leicester game is now in the past. We did do a reaction to that on Sunday or whenever it was. But we are going to look forwards to the Leeds game. But before we do that, I do have to let everybody know that this match preview is brought to you by... Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess who it is? That's right, it's Magpin. Magpin are the go-to site for high-quality, unofficial enamel pin badges of Newcastle players, legends and retro kits. They're also doing calendars, so get on the website and have a look at all of that goodness. Their website is magpinbadges.bigcartel.com. Right, so as I mentioned there, we are going to be previewing the Leeds game. I believe it's on a 3 p.m. kickoff. It's Saturday. Again, I cannot do my time zone differences. Is it on telly for you guys in the UK?
It's 3 o'clock kickoff, mate, so we don't get
Oh,
one.
yes, you get the blackout. I thought maybe with it being New Year, they might have made some special arrangements, but no. But it is a home game. War Flags are back. I believe they're doing the East Stand from what I've seen on Twitter.
Nice.
So that should be interesting. I saw some blue fileys being put on seats today on Twitter, so we'll see what that's going to be like. It's going to be rocking, I think, after the Leicester game where people were maybe unsure about rust. there was more rust on the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz. Let's be honest, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. So going into the Leeds game, they're currently sitting in 15th, 15 points, 4 wins, 3 draws and 7 losses. They haven't played, as Iain told me before we went on air, since November 17th. Competitively, they did do a few friendlies while the World Cup was on. Kris, we'll come to you first. I think confidence levels are going to be high regardless of who we play. But given Leeds' performances of late, we've got to be going into this one expecting nothing more than 3 points, right?
Yeah, I think we'll have to remember at the point of recording, Leeds are about to kick off against Manchester City. So we don't know what's happening in this game. So if anything happens there, don't come back to us because we're recorded prior to that game. But like you said, Scott, anybody at St. James's Park, you take any of them and you're full of confidence. I think with it being the last game of this year as well, and fans getting to go back into St. James's Park after the break for the World Cup, and I know we've had the Cup game, but whole different ballpark when your Premier League game comes around. The crowd is completely different to what you see in the Cup game. Like you said, mate, it's going to be absolutely rocking. It's going to be electric. It's New Year's Eve as well, not to mention. So people are going to be full of drink, and you know for fine well, as soon as people have had a couple of pints and head into that ground, it's absolutely electric in there. So I'm really looking forward to it. To be honest, mate, I'm really looking forward to it.
It's one of those games when I watch it on the telly and I always think, God, I wish I could be there for that one. And I think it's going to be one of those. Remember the Arsenal game last season? I was exactly the same. As soon as I saw the Fileys, I was just like, right, I need to try and get to a game next season. So hopefully I'll be there. I'll be there involved. I love the Fileys. I love when they make little pictures.
I love a Filey.
You know when you got the sticker books and you always got the shinies. That must be what it is. That must be from that.
Scott, what are you doing in that bedroom of yours? Oh, I'm just looking at me Fileys, ma'am.
Just the Fileys. The pile of Fileys.
You should see when he finishes the Great Northern Roger, he takes that blanket home with him.
I think I can do the Great Northern.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Moving back to the game, Leeds have had quite a lot of high-scoring games of late, lots of 4-3s and 3-2s. I think there was also a 5-2, I believe, they got beat from Brentford early on in the season. But they are quite unpredictable, Iain.
Yeah.
They have had wins this season against Chelsea and Liverpool. They came close against Tottenham, albeit they got a man sent off. So although we're quite confident, we cannot just go into this one kind of a bit naive and just think we're going to walk it. Because I think Leeds will be up for giving us a bit of a game.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at how they play, it's not too dissimilar from how Eddie Howe sets up the press very, very high. It's very, very high energy. So they like to try and force you into a mistake. So I don't think I am still confident of getting 3 points, but I don't think it'll be a walkover. I think it'll be one of those classic end almost like a basketball game. And I would expect to see quite a few goals scored, to be honest, because I think both teams, like you say, high press you very, very high. And at the minute we don't seem to be able to score less than 3 goals. Obviously, I know we only scored 1 against Bournemouth, but like in Premier League games, it's been like 3, 4, 5s we've been scoring. So, like I say, it should be a good game. Like Kris was saying, it's the last game before the new year, back at St James's Park, and as well with it being Leeds, I know Leeds fans come under a lot of stick from like the like Paddy Power accounts and stuff like that, but they've got a good away following, which will make again add that little bit extra to the atmosphere as well.
Yeah, you'd expect that it would be a sellout considering it's such a short journey, Roger. Are you worried about Leeds in any way and what they can do potentially to us?
I think obviously Marsh he plays that, like one of the lads was saying there about the high intensity, and I think if you look at the United States team in the World Cup, they have got a bit of a thread of that running through them. They've got I think it's the Captain America. Do you know what I mean? They've got Captain America, and they've got the Hulk up front. No, they haven't got Hulk up front. But like they have like an intense. I mean, Jesse Marsh is quite an intense human being, and the team really reflect that. And I think in terms of like where they are, I think they've moved on from Bielsa, where tactically they were very sound, and but they were involved in quite a lot of like high pressure, like high intensity games. And I think if possible, he's even more intense the way he wants his team to play. So I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to come out like we did against Leicester and attack it in the same way. I still think we will win, and I still think it'll be reasonably comfortable. But I think it'll be a different type of game to the one that Eddie Howe expected against Leicester. I think because these, like I say, these will pressure you, but they're 15th in the league for a reason. So they are vulnerable. So I'm really hopeful that it'll be a reasonably enjoyable, comfortable game. I'm hoping so anyway.
Well, fingers crossed it is. Daryl, we'll come to you next, mate. Leeds lost Rafinha and Phillips in the summer, and it doesn't seem like they've kind of recovered from that. Last season they were on a bit of a high. They were scoring lots of goals. They were a good little team last season, and you feel like losing those two and also having Bamford out with injuries seems to have hindered them a bit. You look at their goal scorers. I think Rodrigo is their current top goal scorer with 9, but then you're looking at twos and ones, kind of just goals he has in there. Who are the threats for Leeds that you're worried about going into this game?
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of there seem to be a team that can pose a threat simply by how they play, and because they're a bit relentless and because they're high press, you always feel like they've got a threat to them. I think really in terms of goals, it's like you say, it's Rodrigo because he's their top goal scorer. The other lads, they're still quite young, so they're a bit raw. They haven't got that experience behind them, especially in this league, about how to finish properly and things like that. I agree with Roger that it will be an interesting game in terms of how it's approached, because I don't think it'll be us out of the blocks straight away like we were against Leicester on Monday. I actually think it'll almost be like a reversal. So, because as Kris mentioned, we're recording this ahead of Leeds playing Man City. We've got a 48-hour advantage in terms of rest and preparation over Leeds going into the game. So I wonder if it'll be a case of we'll just try to control the game and keep everything calm and level, and then maybe once they start to tire at the end of the game or in the second half, then we'll probably suddenly just turn to life and absolutely pile the pressure on going into the back end of the game, which also makes us think, just jumping ahead a little bit to tease, that I think we'll probably still see St. Maximin come off the bench later on as well.
I'm astounded that they're playing 48 hours.
Yeah.
Like they play this game and then they play on Saturday. Like, that's terrible timing for them. Like, that's shambolic.
And I'd imagine they've got a game just after New Year as well, like we do with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Probably like the third or fourth.
Do you think it'll benefit us that they're playing at home? Because I think they'll have to go at Man City. Like, do you know what I mean? They might end up expending quite a lot of energy because it's a home game for them. They'll be expected to be on the front foot, and then the likelihood is they might end up on a bit of a, they could end up with a bit of a tank, and then they come to us, and then it's a hard run of games. That like,
I think if they were playing Newcastle of this time last season, they probably would have written off the City game and come to St James's Park expecting to get 3 points quite easily. But now, I mean, you've got to think they're probably playing the two of the best teams in the league at the moment when it comes to performances and form.
It's horrible back-to-back games. Horrible back-to-back games for Leeds. You've got Man City, and they're going to have, like Daryl said, a lot of effort into this game as well, which is coming up. Then obviously you have follow Newcastle, which, like you said, we are such a high-pressing team as well. And just to highlight what Daryl was saying, if Leeds come out with a high press, I think we go at it like we went against Leicester. I think if Leeds come at us, they will be absolutely knackered, because you know how fast we can get that ball up the field these days. Unbelievably fast. So I think when they come at St James's Park, we'll see a different Leeds. I think they'll sit back and try and contain it, similar to what Bournemouth done.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Newcastle, obviously we're looking at injuries. We're doing this before Eddie Howe's press conference, which will probably be on Friday. We probably expect Wilson to be back, but it does really depend on how many training minutes he gets and how quickly he gets over this illness. We all know Eddie Howe's quite famous for saying that injuries are not that serious and then a player's out for weeks. So we'll see what happens there. We did unfortunately get the news about John Joe Shelby. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks, so he won't feature at all. And then you've got Isak, who I don't think he's going to make a return this year, so I wouldn't even expect him on the bench. But we'll see what happens in the preview. In the press conference later this week. Daryl, we'll come back to you, mate. In terms of Wilson, we talked about this a little bit in the reaction, but if he's not playing on Saturday, does it worry you as much as maybe it once used to?
Well, let's put it this way. When we found out on Monday he wasn't playing, I was shitting bricks. I was really worried about him not playing. And then we were all, Chris Wood came in and just said, just proved we're all wrong. He said, don't need to worry about it. So, yeah, I'm definitely less worried about that now. And I've got a funny feeling, judging by what Eddie said post-match on the TV coverage, was that Callum needs time to build up his natural immunity and his strength, which sort of tells me that he might not actually feature against Leeds at all. And he might just give him that extra few days just to come back to full strength. But again, as we've seen, it's not that much of a worry, really. And I think that's probably a good thing for Chris Wood as well, because he comes up against one of his former teams. And he'll anybody comes up against a former team, they've got a bit of a point to prove. And they'll want to come into that. And I think that's probably a good motivator for him. So, I'm certainly not as worried as I used to be. Absolutely.
The issue which I have, Scott, with the difference between Callum Wilson and Chris Wood, well, no, Callum Wilson is a much better player than Chris Wood. There's no arguing against that. Is that when Callum Wilson's on the field, Callum Wilson gets a lot of chances. He does have that ball in the box a lot of times. It's very rarely you'll see Chris Wood with the ball at his feet in the opposition box, which I don't know what happens with the game plan, the structure of the game, but Callum Wilson, is he creating his own chances? Is he getting in the areas which Chris Wood isn't? But I feel as if we get a hell of a lot more chances when Wilson is on the field. We're lucky at the minute that we've got so many decent players in that starting 11 that the goals are coming everywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Like you said, previous seasons, if Callum Wilson isn't featuring, then we're absolutely knackered. You might as well just write the game off straight away. But now, because Almiron is absolutely on fire, Bruno's on fire, Trippier's on fire, everybody's playing unbelievably well. Wilson being missing isn't such a big deal.
Yeah, and that's a great position to be in. I think when you mentioned about the change in the gameplay, it's almost like we use Chris Wood as a target man to play the flick on ball for somebody else.
It's very much like what Kane was doing for England. He comes quite deep to get the ball. Yeah. But honestly, I think against the games that I've seen Chris Wood, he plays, like you say, he plays completely different to Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson likes to get in behind. But I don't think... Now, obviously, in comparison, like you say, Wilson's better, but I don't think Wood is horrendous. He just plays a completely different game, and it still works. He still brings in players. So his work ethic off the ball as well, I would say, arguably is more intense than what Wilson gives you. Yep. But obviously, out of the two of them, you would want Callum Wilson to start. He's the natural goal scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a mention earlier, I think, Daryl, you brought up about St. Maximin coming off the bench. We talked about this in the reaction that we didn't really get much time on Monday night. Maybe it was about 8 minutes. Roger, would you like to see maybe Eddie Howe make his changes a bit sooner in the game if we're ahead, or if we've got a bit more of a cushion?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because, like, we're at a point where, like, when Maxi was sort of warming up quite, from about 60 minutes onwards, and you're like, actually, who are you going to bring off? I know, like, Joe Willock didn't have one of his best games, but he's always a slow burner. Like, he was like this at the start of the season. He takes a little while to, like, get back up to speed, and then when he does, he's absolutely flying. So, like, he might be one who you maybe sacrifice, you give him 60 minutes, and then I would like to see, it's obviously all dependent on how the game's going, but I would like to see Alan St. Maximin come on and just get like 30 minutes, because I feel like at the minute he's getting 10s, if that, here and there. And although it's because we're in a good position and Eddie Howe doesn't want to change anything, but like, I do think we need to give him the chance to stake his claim a little bit more, like give him a chance to...
Yeah.
But it is difficult to see who you... Like, I wouldn't start him in a game now at the moment, because I just don't think he's, unless it's a League Cup game or whatever game. But I think in a Premier League game, I think Joe Linton's made that position his own. He's starting to get a bit of an understanding and support. He's really much more supportive of Dan Burn than Alan St. Maximin would be. Yeah. So we're getting a bit of a groove on that side now. So I would maybe like to see Joe Willock after about 60 minutes, if he's still not sort of up to speed, and then push Joe Linton back in, and then let Alan St. Maximin run it, Cock, or whoever might be in that position.
I think the issue. Well, I'm saying issue. It's not an issue whatsoever. But the problem that Eddie Howe has is that all of these lads on the field now are unbelievably fit. Yeah. They literally graft their arse up until a full-time whistle. So if Eddie Howe's looking at this in the 60th minute and thinking, this is still full of energy, why make a change?
Yeah.
Why do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want to make
situation.
You can't make a change for change's sake, can you?
Exactly.
The situation in the game could well prove to fall into the favour of making that change and bringing St. Maximin on earlier than we have seen recently as well. So if, like we mentioned before, if Leeds do start to tire early on in the second half, then it's the perfect time to bring him on and let him run right against them. Just let him go. Let him go.
Yeah, and I suppose we've also, like the Arsenal games in 2 days after, I think it is. So maybe he'll reserve energy in people's tank a bit more.
That's what I was thinking, The title deciders on the 3rd.
Yes,
absolutely.
Ian. Come on, Ian.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope Leeds can do us a favour tonight and make it a top of the title, a top table challenge for the next game, but we'll cover that in the next match preview. We'll move on to predictions. I don't think anyone's going to predict a 0-0 this week. At least I hope no one's going to predict a 0-0. I think Joe said in the group chat that he's never going to predict anything less than a 3-0 ever again. So we'll come to you first, Ian. I think he said Joey's got a bit of an outlandish prediction as well. So let's hear that one first.
Very, very specific. So he said it would be 4-1, but he said Leeds' goal would be disallowed by VAR. So technically, that's 4-0. He then went on to say Miggy would get a hat-trick and Joe Linton would score. So 4-0 to Newcastle, which I'm going to stick a couple of quid on. Especially the VAR disallowing Leeds' goal. Very specific. Mine, I'm going to go with 3-1. I think it'll be very sort of a very hectic start. I can see them getting a goal. I do think they've got a goal in them, but I think that they do leak goals, especially with having to contest Man City tonight and then come to our place. Yeah. I think we'll end up just running riot, and I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1, right? No worries. Roger, what is your prediction, mate?
4-0.
So we're going to keep the clean sheet.
Yeah, clean sheet. Like, there's no, if we're going to let Rodrigo score against us when all of Chelsea haven't scored, all these teams that we've kept a clean sheet against, and then you're going to let Leeds rock up and Rodrigo, who scores 4 goals a season, it's just not happening. I'm sorry, and I'll be full of merriment. I'll be absolutely battered. So happy days. No, it's me last game at St James's for God knows how long. So I want to go out I want to go out with a bang. So I want 4-0, and I mean it's definitely possible. So I'm going to go 4-0. However, lads.
Excellent. Well, if any of the players are watching, do it for Roger. If they're not,
get
on Twitter. We'll do a hashtag. Do it for Roger.
Do it for Roger.
Do it for Roger. Hashtag do it for Roger, and we'll get the players 4-0. Right, we'll do it. Daryl, I suppose you've got to go 4-0 now, haven't you? What's your predictions, mate?
No, I'm not going to go 4-0. I'm actually going to go with Ian and go with a 3-1. I just think that their brand of chaos theory attacking football will somehow result in some sort of fluky chance where they probably get a goal against it. But I also expect Sven Botman to have another player to add to his pockets. Somebody, I don't care who it is, there's somebody going in that pocket of Sven Botman's and I just think we'll have too much for them. Whether or not it's us playing a patient game to start with and letting them run themselves into the ground and then just absolutely blasting them in the second half, or just being able to completely outclass them with a counter-attacking style of football. I've got full faith in the lads to go out and get a victory, so I'm 3-1.
Excellent. Kris, your predictions?
Come on, Kris.
So no matter what I'm going to talk in past tense. So no matter what they have done against Manchester City, if they've lost, drawn it, or won the game, they're going to use a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So I can't see Newcastle United conceding anytime soon. I really can't see it. I think the next test is probably going to be against Arsenal. If we're going to concede a goal, it's going to be something ridiculous, like a defensive error, a penalty, or something like that. We're just not conceding an open play at the minute. So, with confidence so high, I'm fully anticipating a 3-0 Newcastle United win and a dominant performance as well from start to finish. I can't see anybody test me at the minute because confidence is so high. Yeah. It sounds ridiculous to say it, but even the game after against Arsenal, I'm thinking, why not? Why not at the minute? Because we're the team that, you look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, people coming to St. James's Park, they don't want to come here. They don't want to play Newcastle, so keep that up. And the 12th man's there as well. Home crowd will be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think the 12th man will play a huge part in it at the weekend. My prediction, I'm going to say 3-0 as well. I again think it'll be quite a dominant display, and I don't think we will concede. I think Leeds' second highest goal scorer is that Sinistera that they signed, and he's injured. So, I mean, like Roger said, they've got Rodrigo. He has got 9 this season, which isn't a bad return, but I don't know if that's in all competitions
9?
or just the league.
Wow.
Yeah. Aye.
Fair play.
Sven Botman's pocket, man. Sven Botman's pocket.
But he'll be. But yeah, I think Botman will be able to get his number, because I think Rodrigo's quite a slow striker now. He's 31, 32, so his legs have gone a little bit.
He got off to a decent start, didn't he? Then didn't he pop his shoulder out in one of the games?
Yeah.
He's out for a handful of weeks.
Aye.
If I remember right.
Yep. I believe so. But yeah, I think, like I say, 3-0 will be a nice tidy result to round the year off and send us into New Year's Eve on even higher spirits than they would have already been. Yeah. Does anybody have anything they want to add before we wrap this one up?
Was it the stat that got put out this morning that Eddie Howe's the first English manager to win 20 games in a calendar year?
With a game to spare as well.
With Joe Linton, like when he took over, like imagine say that you're going to win 20 games in a calendar year and Joe Linton's going to be one of your best players. It's just absolutely absurd. I was actually watching Sky Sports News, and like when they've got the little things on the side of like the FPL and then the stats, I genuinely think on like most touches, most chances created, most clean sheets, things like that, there was a Newcastle player, at least one Newcastle player featuring in like the higher end of those stats, which is absolutely like insane. Like to think where we were this time last year.
If Leeds, Leeds have got today, they're starting with Cooper, centre back, and Forshaw in midfield. Like if we cannot beat a team with Forshaw and Cooper, like we may as well pack them and go home, honestly. Like let's
hope somebody doesn't come back and clip all of them.
You can take them to Toronto with you, Roger.
Well, we'd only have ourselves to blame, like seriously.
True.
Seriously, like obviously Aronson is a good, like
he's
high
a decent
good player, really good player. Obviously the keeper's good. I don't know what that cock's like, but like
not what I've heard.
It's been Christmas, you know what I mean? But and they've got I don't know, Gnotto, I don't know. But the Gnotto going to win, basically, is what's happening.
There we go.
So,
he's going for it.
There you go. Anyway.
Get them all out before you get on the plane, Roger.
And I, mate, as well, I get on plane, fool. But happy days. But it's been a pleasure.
Days. Yes, it has been. Thanks, everybody, for watching this one. I've had a good laugh tonight. It's been fun. Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Daryl. Thank you, Kris. And thank you, Iain, for joining me. As always, this is the Gallowgateshots YouTube and podcast channel. If you do like this sort of content, please scroll down from this video and hit the little thumbs up. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button as well. It'll not only let you know when we have new videos out, but it'll also put this video into other Newcastle and Leeds United fans' feeds for the next few days at least.
I do have a little bit of off my floor there. As it goes, I do have a bit of a soft spot for Leeds, but we are going to whop them. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, that's my bit.
Yes. Oh, smashing! Something's happened there. Also, if you want to become a member, you can always do that as well. It's $2.99 a month. That gets you early access to videos, and it gets you access to the Telegram group, which is around 92 members in there at the moment now. So that's always a nice little place to go, just to get your fix of Newcastle news and whatever else. If Twitter's doing your head in, it's a nice place to unwind a bit.
Where everybody knows your name.
Everybody knows your name.
And
it comes up when you type it.
You've got 15,000 messages waiting for you, but you can't read all them. So you just repeat what everybody else has said. Diddle-diddle-diddle.
Well, on that note, cheers, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
See you later, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you later. Much love.